welcome back to part 2 of the Futuristic Laboratory tutorial. Let's pick up right where we left off. Alright, so we are on this phase here, focusing on these 2 blocks here. So, for the outside, we are continuing to build up the exterior hexagons according to these patterns here. A little detail here on the main window. Got some glass there, and here is a view of the interior. As you can see by now, we have a back wall, which you should be building up here. And here's the view from the other side. As you can also tell, we are extending our stairs up to the left now, with a bit of spruce and glass. We also have a detail of the lights over here as well. And once you have done that, I think let's finish the exterior before we move on the inside. We are building out the ceiling of the landing bay here. And you're doing that with concrete and cyan terracotta and some end rods laid out horizontally here, and a bit of glass. So let me land here, give you a good bottom-up view of this here, and build it out according to the pattern that you see. Alright, once that is done, here's a view from the other side on the interior space. And a view from the front here again. And remember, the sides here are going to be symmetrical at this point. So what you did over here, you want to mirror on the other side over here on the inside and the outside. All right, with that done, let's take a look at the walls on the interior here. We are building up the doorways, and we have a small piece of glass and a light below there as well. I think on the interior here, the hallway has a bit of glass, above which we are going to be putting some sea lanterns on both sides there for lighting. Then we have the space for the 3x3 piston doors. Another hallway section here on the other side of the door. And the interior space of the lab. At this level, we are putting in cyan terracotta and glass. And behind the glass, you are putting in a ring of sea lanterns, like so, to help light up your small laboratory space. And of course, all 3 of those laboratories on this side are done the exact same way, as are the entrances and the hallways and the laboratories on the other side of the base here. So let me give you a good top-down view of this section so you can see what we've got going on. As you can see, you want to extend the hexagonal shapes on the inside all the way back, where we are forming a wall here with white concrete and cyan terracotta. And we are also extending up the stairs, and we have a landing here that we are forming for the stairs here at this level. Just right below there. You can see you're just going up 4 blocks here from the floor, and then you are making the landing. And from here, we're going to have stairs that go up this way and that way to the next floor level. Also, let's take a look at the entrance to the fusion core back here. You can tell we are building up another hexagonal pattern here. And on the interior here as well, it's just a plain hallway with our 3x3 piston door. And our power core chamber back here, which we are continuing to build straight up with some white concrete and a little ribbing of cyan terracotta that goes all the way around the room. And of course, on the inside, remember, you are continuing to build up the next segment of the fusion core as you see done there, which was explained in the previous video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. But that is about as much damage as we can do to that section. So let us come over here. We are focusing on these 2 blocks here. So we hit a midpoint here last time, and for these 2 blocks, we are now beginning to curve the hexagons in this way. In other words, they went out that way, and now they're going to be going back in this way, just like the same pattern that we had down here for the landing entrance. There's also a small detail of glass out here, but I'm going to skip that until the next phase. So you can see you're building out the separation tracery for the windows here with just a bit of cyan terracotta inside what is otherwise a plain sheet of light blue stained glass. Of course, you are extending up the ribbing on the inside here and the back walls according to this pattern there. And let's take a look on the other side of that. It's just some plain white concrete, but we are starting to step in things just a little bit on the sides here, done according to that pattern there, and you want to extend that all the way back to the back wall. Let me back up and give you a good view of that there. In other words, for every 2 blocks you go up, you want to go out a block. Then you want to do that for 3 levels, and then you want to start reversing that process and come in a block for every 2 blocks you're going to go up, which is, of course, the basic pattern of this hexagon. Let me go over here and take a look at the front entranceway before we get away from that. We are extending up this level here to create the floor of the next room here. We are adding in a bit of glass and cyan terracotta. And we are also starting to build the lower parts of the next stairs, which are going to go up here to the next room. So you want to build this out according to this pattern here. And the stairs back here, we are also finishing at this level. They just go up for a couple of blocks here, and then they have some glass guardrails on the front here. You see done there. Okay, let's take a look at the laboratory rooms over here. We are beginning to cap these off, sort of, which you are doing with just a 2-block thick ring of cyan terracotta on top of the glass, but you are also stepping it in a block all the way around, as you see done here. And here's a view from above there. And of course, all 3 rooms are exactly the same, as are those 3 rooms over there. So let's take a look at the stairs here. As I've said, we are extending these up now on the sides here. We had our landing here on the last level, and now we are extending them up according to these patterns here, with a couple of end rods here and there for lighting. And build it out according to what you see done here. And here's a view of the back wall as well, with the patterns on it. Pretty basic. Let's also take a look at the fusion core room again. This is very simple. You are just extending the white concrete up another 2 blocks all the way around, as you see done there. So that's so simple. I don't need to say anything else about it. So I think we can move on to the next phase. So out here, let's take a look at the hanging glass block I referenced in the last phase. This is the first of what is going to be 3 antennas that come out from your base here. Of course, since this is a futuristic base, we have to have several nondescript antennas to be used for various unspecified technological functions, which by all that means that they have no use, but they look cool, is what all that is meant to say. So you just want to build that out according to those patterns there, And put a bit of sea lantern for lighting there with a cross pattern of glass around that. Okay, so let's take a look at the exterior here. As I've said, you are extending up the hexagon with the ribbing that has been wrapping around from the lower levels down here. You're building up the glass window according to that pattern there, the same exact on both sides. And you are extending up the ribbing and the concrete on the inside as well. And here's a view of the back wall. Okay, let's take a look at the other side of this wall. You want to do it out according to this pattern here. We're just stepping in the cyan terracotta here and the side lighting, as you see done there. And here's the side details here. We're starting more ribbing there and lighting here, and more ribbing and lighting and ribbing and lighting. Here's a view of the back wall. You can see we're now starting to form hexagonal patterns back here on the wall. And you are extending up your staircase 2 more blocks, same pattern that you did before, to either side. And I believe the fusion core is just yet 2 blocks more of white concrete going straight up there. And of course, remember to be extending up your power core itself in the middle according to the patterns I previously described. All right, let's take a look at the laboratories. So inside the laboratory here, you are extending up your cyan terracotta hexagon another 2 blocks, but at this level you are also putting in a cross beam of 2 by 3 done like so. And you want to put in a ceiling of light blue stained glass on top of that there. And that is almost going to be a laboratory module fully complete. So I think that is all there is to remark on this phase. So let's go over here. Now at this level, things are getting asymmetrical, meaning that they are no longer the same on both sides exactly. At this level, we have a projection that is coming out, whereas at this side, we do not. So let me lower down here just a little bit and give you some block measurements here. For that, it looks like it's just 6 blocks coming out of concrete and terracotta with a detail of lighting there. And we are also building out another longer antenna over here. It's according to the same pattern that we did before for this previous antenna. It's just on this side over here at this level, but a little bit longer with a little bit of glass on top of that. So let's look at the middle room here. We're of course building up another window here, but we have stairs going up on either side here according to the exact same pattern that was done for the lower levels of these stairs. Let's take a look at, I think, what should be the completed rooms on this side here. And the ceilings, of course, as you can see, are done with horizontal end rods, glass, concrete, and terracotta. And there's the back wall there. And of course, both of these rooms look exactly the same, just one is a mirror of the other room. All right, it's also at this level, we are starting to build up the walkways for the second floor of what is going to be the main atrium of the Futuristic laboratory. And you want to follow the patterns that we've been doing for the ribbing and the lighting strips and do them according to these patterns here. And you want to come out, I think, that many blocks there. I think on average this is just going to be, what, 4 blocks? Well, let me give you a good view of this here. And you are extending that straight back for this section here. But for this section, we are wrapping it around more. And you can use the measurements you're getting from here and then just do a 45-degree angle of 5 blocks. 5 or 6 of cyan terracotta this way, and then you want to make a straight section and do the same thing on both sides here. And then pretty much straight back from that with a cross beam of terracotta here. You want to extend that all the way back to the back wall here, which has a bit of a ledge of 3 blocks of cyan terracotta right there. And it also now intersects with the staircase that you've been building on both sides here. Let me give you a view of this as we walk up. And you can see the measurements from this on the top here. They're just going to be about 6 blocks wide and then 4 blocks in that direction there. And of course you want to build 2 of those. And let me give you a good top-down view of this entire section here. All right, I think we now need to take a look at a completed laboratory. All right, so all you're doing at this level is, I think you're pretty much just putting some white concrete right on top of the blue stained glass that you used for the ceiling there, and this will give you a completed laboratory module. Each of the 12 laboratories you're going to be building are exactly the same pattern and design. So once you build one, you will be able to build the rest of them. So for the next laboratory segments, I will kind of gloss over those since I have already showed them in detail. At this level up here, we are putting in a ring of cyan terracotta with glass on top of that and sea lanterns behind that for a ring of lighting inside the fusion reactor room. And there should be a total of, I think, 5 blocks of white concrete there before you put in your cyan terracotta ribbing again. And I think in a few levels we will be capping off the fusion power core, so that will be complete as well. And for some reason there are some leftover sea lanterns over here. I think actually these are going to be the floor of the next section of laboratory, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. Okay, so I need to talk about that. So we are now doing the sea lanterns again, like you did before, except at this section here, you are putting this pretty much directly on the ceiling of the laboratory that we just built over here, as you can see, which you're doing by, I think there should just be some white concrete directly below the stone here. And then on top of that, you're putting in the sea lanterns again, which will be the lighting for the floor of another laboratory module there. So let me give you a good top-down view of this entire section here. It's kind of a complicated section, but do your best to replicate the patterns. Okay, so let us move on again. We are building out more of the exterior hexagons here. And you are doing the exact same hexagonal pattern that you've done for all the sections here. But this one, of course, is extending outwards. And it's not just going flat. In other words, where this one was cut at an angle to go inwards as we built it, this one up here is going to be going out that way. So for every 2 blocks we go up, you will be extending it out a block there. And there's also a window on it as well, with a bit of lighting here. And a spruce floor. So let me give you a top-down view of this. As you can see, you are extending the staircases into that as well. And building out the hallway sections here and the next level of flooring. And there is also another bridge over here that is going to have another staircase that comes off of this on the center line. So let me give you a block count for that there. How many blocks you should set that back. It's pretty much just in line, actually. with the laboratory sections here. And as I've said, the second level of laboratories are directly on top of the first level of laboratories. And you can also use the cyan ribbing here as another guide to get it from below. So over here we have cyan terracotta and glass guardrails. And according to these patterns here, it's pretty much the same pattern that you did below. It's just one block farther out. And the same holds true back here for these sections here. And I think this was completed on the last section down here. So let's take a look up top. Of course, on top of the staircases that you built, you want to have some more glass guardrails here. And at the back here, you are extending up the same designs that you did below for the lighting. You're going to be doing those again up here. And the back section here. So let me give you a good top-down view of this entire section. And build it out according to these patterns here. And let us also take a quick look at the fusion core room. This is simple back here. You're just putting in a 2-block hexagonal band of cyan terracotta all the way around the room on top of the glass and sea lanterns, as you see done here. All right, let us move on to the next phase. As you can see, you're building up your laboratory rooms again. You should know how to build those, so I'm going to kind of skip over those. On the outside here, you are continuing up your same 2 blocks up and 1 block out hexagonal patterns. And you are building out this section here. It is extending outwards like so. And the other section over here is doing the same thing, except it was set farther back than that section was down there. Remember that it is now asymmetrical on the front here. And here's the interior room here with the staircases. Done as you see here. Take a look at the room up here. It's pretty much simple white concrete and the same back wall design as we did in the lower rooms. Let's take a look at the other side of that. And you are, of course, building up another staircase over here that's attached to this horizontal walkway. And over, I think, let me give you a good oblique angle of this entire section here. It might help you better to see it that way. And we will do a top-down section here as well. All right, so let me give you a view of the fusion core room back here. You were using a more yellow concrete here at this level, but you are stepping it inwards by 2 blocks all the way around, as you see done here, because we are getting ready to put a ceiling onto the fusion core room. And you, of course, want to continue building up the segments of the core itself, as you see done there. Let's move on to the next section here. At this level, you are extending out again the cyan terracotta here with a 2 up and a 1 out pattern, as you see done there. There's these side sections here. And just extend this all the way back into whatever the cliff face is that you are building back there or existed in the world that you chose to put the build in. As you can see up here, the glass is now leaning outwards too with the building. We have glass sections here and then here and then here as well. And then on top of that, they're going to be leaning out yet another block on top of that. So the glass here is going out at the same angle as the walls of the room are going out on the sides here. And here's a view again of the back wall and the side walls and the walls and the staircase on this side over here. And as you can see, the staircase is going to be going up to a room that we're going to be building up there fairly shortly. And we are also building the third and last antenna right on the center line here at this level there. I think I also need to go into this room here and let you see the ceiling as well. It's just the same pattern that you did for the previous ceiling. Repeat it again with the cyan terracotta and the end rods. Alright, let's go to the back here. Here's a view along the side walls. And the back here, we are beginning to make more honeycomb sections here on the back. And here's a quick view of the laboratory rooms on the sides here. And a view of the power core room itself again. As you can see, there is yellow concrete here and white concrete on top of that. Just placed straight on top of what you built in the previous phase there. So fairly simple to do right there. And also at this level, you are building in hallways again. They are the same design as you built down here as well in front of the 3x3 piston doors. So I think we can move on to this next phase over here. There's a view of the laboratories again. And the outer sections here, as you can tell, they are leaning outwards here and also starting to bend in again to make the hexagonal shape. Done according to these patterns here with the glass leaning out like so. And the glass also leans out on the other side section over here as well. It's sort of the same design. This one is just set farther forward than that one is over there. And you should also finish the small and third antenna up here as well. It looks like we are finishing the stairs that we've been building from the walkway over here. There's a view of this section here from below. And of course, here is what is going to be the last level we have in the building up here as well. This is going to be the top level. So let me give you a top-down view of this phase here. And let me go to the back and give you a view of this here as well. And the back wall here, we're just putting hexagonal ribbing on a flat white concrete wall, pretty much. And a top-down view of the entire phase, as you see here. And it is also at this level, we are putting in some glass on top of the fusion core room, just the same as you did with the smaller laboratories. But let's go in there and take a look at this. Now, here's what that looks like in here. You can tell it is interfacing with the top of the fusion core up here, done according to these patterns here. It's just a 2-block tall section with light blue stained glass in the top of it. And of course it is the same on all of the 4 sections here as well. And I think in the next phase we will actually be finishing this room. So I think that is all there is to talk about in this phase. So let's move on again. So over here, you can tell you're putting on the ceilings of the next sections of laboratories. You're extending inwards now, the outer hexagons here, and outwards on these sections here with the glass again, according to the same patterns. You want to do that, of course, on both sides here. And this room here, the glass on that is going to end up being a copy of this here, which is what we are starting to build again over here on this topmost and smallest room here. So let me give you a view of the interior here and the back walls also, and the other side of that as well. And it's also at this phase you are putting in some glass elements because we are starting to build in the ceiling of the atrium here. And this glass section is going to be that many blocks long from this section here, you can see. And let me give you a view of the back also. And you're extending in every time there is a lighting element on the sides here, you're extending in another glass section there. So there's going to be 4 of those on either side, which of course are the same lighting elements that we built below. This entire section below here, you're building another copy of it up here. And of course, it's the same on both sides. Let's see, I think it looks like the power core room is well and truly complete. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so in here, all you're doing for this is you're just putting a sheet of white concrete on top of the light blue stained glass up there as well. And of course, if you choose, you could even use a sheet of sea lanterns up there if you think that looks better and you want a bit more lighting in this space. But I kind of like to keep things a little bit darker and a little bit more moody. So I have only used a moderate amount of hidden lighting here as well, because what I wanted to do was keep the walls and the ceiling decently dark, so the emphasis would be drawn to the fusion core itself. So I think that that is all there is to talk about at this level. At the next phase here, as you can see, the fusion core and the laboratory room should all be fully complete at this phase, so we're just going to be focusing on the main atrium from this point forwards. So out here we are getting ready to finish off with just one more block on the next phase, the outer sections here, but we do finish the interior rooms here as well, so I need to go in there and give you a look at those, I think. Let's land and do that. Give you a view of the room on the left over here. It's just got the same ceiling design that you're familiar with by now, with the back wall. And the other side is, of course, going to be a little bit longer, but all you do is just extend the same designs all the way forward to the glass here as well. So I think that that is going to be all there is on those rooms. Now for the lower sections here, things get a little bit more complicated at first glance. But these sections here, each one of these is a module, meaning that there are 6 modules, 3 on each side here. So I'm going to focus on one of these. So with the cyan terracotta ribbing that you've been building, when you get to this level here where the white concrete starts going back to the back wall here, below that you want to build out cyan terracotta ribbing as you see it done here on both sides for a complete module there. And the glass that you built out on the last phase, you're just now extending that upwards and putting in some lighting here as well. So let me give you a view from the bottom, looking towards the front here. and a view looking at the back here. And of course, this is the back wall here. Okay, let's continue to the next phase here. We're in the home stretch of this tutorial. I think we finished these sections here at this phase, as I remarked, by just adding another layer of terracotta and concrete and continuing the ribbing up on both sides over here. And let me give you a view of this from below here, so you can now see that these sections are complete, and this one comes out several more blocks than this one does over there, creating the asymmetry. There is also additional asymmetry in the antennas that poke out of the front here, as I've said. And here is the top room here. View of the glass here, same pattern as you've done before, with the ribbing and the wall on the back here. Alright, let me give you a view of this from the other side there and somewhat from below. As you can see, you are extending up another hexagon on which is going to cap off the ceiling of the atrium here, and you are wrapping the cyan terracotta ribbing around it according to these patterns that you see done here. And there's some light on the sides here as well. And a view from the back here. And a view from the top down of the entire section here. All right, let's move on to the next phase. Looks like we have 3 phases left, maybe 2. So over here, you are building up this here, these 2 blocks, to cap off the final exterior hexagon, like so. Of course, all the room decoration is the same that you have been doing so far. And let me give you a view of this from the other side here. It's also at this level we are building in some glass cross members that will now connect both sides of the base. And you want to construct all of those according to these patterns that you see here on both sides. And here's a view of the back wall here. And let me give you I don't know how useful the top-down view is going to be from this point onwards, but I'll give it to you anyway, just to be safe. All right, and let's move on to the next phase over here, which for this, you are pretty much getting ready to finish. There's just going to be one more block layer up here, then we will be well and truly finished. Let me go inside here. We now can no longer drop through the ceiling because at this phase we are putting on a sheet of white concrete all the way across with some sea lantern lighting spaced out there. There's lighting here, and then there's just the bands of glass, and there's more lighting and bands of glass here, as you see done here. And I think I need to go into this room here and give you a final view of the ceiling of the finished interior of the top room here. And with that, let us go over to this last phase over here. And go up a little bit, because I think the only thing you're doing here is you're putting in just a little bit more terracotta and white concrete on top of this here. And I think I actually cut it off a little bit too much, because there should be another band of cyan terracotta that will go across there, actually. Assuming you have this part visible and not buried inside of a cliff face. And you can probably actually save some white concrete at this level here and just not build that. And then the ceiling and the entire interior will have been complete on the last phase there. So with just that little bit of exterior detail there, your futuristic honeycomb laboratory will be, at long last, complete. So I hope you enjoyed the futuristic laboratory tutorial. Because of the length of the video, I'm going to be leaving out the 3x3 piston door tutorial, because there are already quite a lot of those tutorials out there, and I have already done one as well in the large Roman temple tutorial that I made as well, if you really need to see one of those for yourself. And remember, the entire world that I've shown you today is of course available for download in the video description if you need to come here and see the phases for yourself, because the tutorial is designed to be a companion to the download world. And with both of those together, I have confidence that you can rebuild the structure. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.